What is up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of F1 Fantasy Pole Position. It is Saturday, December 7th. It is about 7:35 in the morning, Germany time. And I'm about to give my final thoughts ahead of the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. Final race of the season. Lots to consider. The Sims are out. So thank you for the early Christmas present from Ryder and F1 Fantasy Tools for this early morning video. Sorry if I sound a little bit different. Battling some man flu. Woke up this morning. And my wife said, "You sound awful." And I was like, "Thanks." But here we are battling through man flu for the final race of the season. And yeah, this is the squad right now. T1, Lando Norris, Oscar Piastri, Colapinto Bottas, Zhou Guanyu, Ferrari, and McLaren. And the Sims are saying that I should go with something different. We're going to get into that in just a little bit, but let me do a tiny bit of housekeeping off the top here. F1 Fantasy Community Survey. It's the final weekend to get this done. FanAmp and the Fantasy Formula have put this together. The mountaintop at F1 is going to look at this, going to put some changes into the game for 2025. So if you want your voice to be heard in the F1 fantasy community and improvements on the game in 2025 and beyond, please fill out this survey this weekend. You can do it right now while you're watching this video, while you're watching Free Practice 3, while you're watching qualifying. It takes 5 to 10 minutes, just depending on how in-depth you want to go. And join me tomorrow for the last in-season piece of content that I will be doing. It will be a season finale race watch-along. We can talk about K-Mag, talk about Bottas, we can talk about F1 Fantasy, talk about whatever you want. But yeah, join me on YouTube tomorrow, season finale race watch-along for the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. It's going to be a good one. Looking forward to seeing all of you there. And while you're here, like and subscribe to the YouTube channel and follow me on all social media at F1 Fantasy Ewan. So this is why you came here. Final thoughts. Let's check out practice debrief from F1.com first of all. So they came out last night around 6:30. McLaren earns favorite tags after strong Friday. However, in the post-Friday interviews, Lando Norris was kind of saying Friday pace may be like a little misleading. We may not actually be that far in front of everyone else. Lando and Oscar both expect Ferrari, Red Bull, and Mercedes to all find something overnight on Friday. However, starting from a position of strength for the McLarens, the Papaya is clear favorites going into this weekend as of right now, especially with Charles Leclerc's 10-place grid penalty that he got after some power unit components need to be switched out. A battery needs to be switched out. They switched it out for the first race of the season in Bahrain. It lasted all 24 races. And it's come back to bite them in the final race of the season. So tough luck there for Ferrari in the constructors battle. Charles Leclerc also dealing with food poisoning that he suffered on Thursday night. Said he didn't get a lot of sleep on Friday either. So maybe a good night's sleep for the monogas driver will get him back on track. However, it does feel like McLaren are on the front foot this weekend. As we can see in qualifying simulation pace, McLaren way out in front here. Ferrari, Red Bull, Mercedes all lagging. Haas, best of the rest. Sauber right up there again. Valtteri Bottas and Zhou Guanyu just kind of going out in a blaze of glory here for the Kick Sauber team as they transition into reserve driver roles. It sounds like Zhou Guanyu is going to go to Ferrari. Valtteri Bottas still up in the air. Mercedes, Red Bull. We'll see how it goes. Williams, Alpine, RB, and Aston Martin kind of bringing up the back there. Fernando Alonso saying, worst car ever, worst car on the straights. Kind of yelling at his team about an outlap as well. So the vibes are at an all-time low at Aston Martin as well. As we continue down here, Chasers Ferrari on the back foot. Carlos Sainz just kind of putting in a classic Carlos Sainz weekend, despite the struggles for Ferrari. P4 in practice 2 yesterday. So not bad there either. Moving over to the race simulation pace here. McLaren out ahead by 0.12 seconds over Red Bull. Mercedes and Ferrari are next in the pecking order. I do expect Ferrari to kind of get some of that pace back overnight heading into free practice 3 this morning or afternoon, wherever you're watching in the world. They gave up Carlos Sainz's car in FP1 to Arthur Leclerc. First time two brothers are running in a championship sanctioned race together. FP1 something very stats qualify there that I heard on F1 TV yesterday. Haas once again best of the rest. So K-Mag and Hulkenberg, very popular choices this week, and it's actually caused quite a kerfuffle in my team selection dilemma because the Sims are saying something that I did not expect when I woke up this morning. Aston Martin climbed back up in race simulation pace, so I just not gonna go there. There's no reason to like build budget for the last race of the year. Maybe they can get into the points from like way far back, but yeah, Alonso did quite well in Qatar last weekend, but yeah, just not feeling it there. Alpine, RB, Sauber, and Williams trailing at the back there. So race pace or qualifying pace for Sauber, good. Race pace, not that great. So that is something that we'll need to consider with Zhou Guanyu and Valtteri Bottas. Max Verstappen was pretty downbeat yesterday, saying that like P6 would be a great recovery drive for them after both Red Bulls were outside the top 13 in FP2 yesterday. Just saying that it wasn't really going all that well, but the data says that Red Bull not nearly as bad as they look. And if we know anything, Max is going to find a way to get into that top 5 no matter what. So as an ultimate differential there for Max Verstappen as well, coming off a race win in Qatar, don't mind him either, but I don't really have any options of getting to him in my squad. Car performance here in the slow, medium, high, and straights. Yeah, it's just we'll see what what teams kind of make up overnight there. A lot of stuff going into the garage overnight. Williams are really scary this week for me. Like Colapinto and Williams, it sounds like their car is pretty much literally pieced together by duct tape and just is like not going anywhere. So I would love to not run double Williams this weekend if you're in that situation. Hopefully you've jumped on like a Zhou Guanyu and he has now risen in price above Alexander Albon. So hopefully you were there when those price rises were going up. It would have been nice if Jack Doohan came in around like 7-8 million. It would have given us another option, possibly a way to get to him in F1 Fantasy this weekend. But at 10.9 million for the Australian driver, making his first start on the grid this season, and ahead of his probably full debut season next year. I don't have super high hopes for him either. And then, yeah, mixed day for Mercedes on Hamilton's final weekend with the team. If we kind of zoom in here, we can see, where did we go here? Ideal order were Norris, Piastri, Hamilton up there, Hulkenberg, Sainz, Bottas, Leclerc. So interesting enough, Hulkenberg's pace is legit. It wasn't just like everyone else kind of sucked. He put together a great lap. He said in his interview that the car felt great from FP1. So great job by Haas as they sent off K-Mag and Nico Hulkenberg. K-Mag into the sunset, Hulkenberg over to rivals Kick Sauber. Not this season rivals, but maybe in the future rivals for Kick Sauber if they can get back on track there. So that's kind of what the FP data was telling us from F1.com. However, if we switch over here to the F1 Fantasy Tools simulations, we all love them. Give them all a follow. Join their Patreon. Like, support these guys. They crush the content out there. You get a little bit of you get live scoring hooked up to your team. Like, you just check it every time. So definitely go there for the final race of the season and heading into 2025 if you are a serious F1 fantasy manager. As you can see here, Charles Leclerc, that 10 place grid penalty looks like it's going to give him a big boost this weekend. So right now, Leclerc leads the pack for my choice as the DRS boost for Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. Norris second, Piastri third. Carlos Sainz pretty far back there, 19.7. Verstappen, the Sims still think that he's going to kind of pull through this weekend, 24.4 points. However, if anyone was thinking about going differential with their constructors outside of McLaren and Ferrari, it's just the gap is so big to anyone else. Like, I was even playing with last night. I was like, what if I get Haas in? I go triple premium driver? Like, how does that work? It's just not like I can't justify it. It's almost like a 50-point gap between McLaren and Haas. And it's just not going to work out there. If anyone's wondering what I am wearing here, it's Christmas sweater with a cat on it. I don't usually wear something like this, but it is a Saturday work, Christmas Saturday. So trying to bring the Christmas spirit there. But anyways, yeah, so Red Bull 55.4, Mercedes 43.6. Like, the price difference there, like if Mercedes was like 2 or 3 million cheaper and it could really like upgrade a back marker, maybe I would think about it, but they're really just not that like much cheaper than any of those constructors. So there's really no reason to go there. So unfortunately, if you're hoping to make a big jump in your constructors, I don't think it's going to work out. McLaren and Ferrari will probably dominate this weekend in the constructor standings as well as they battle out for the Constructors' Championship. But the drivers are pretty interesting here. As you can see, Pierre Gasly, 3.9, Jack Doohan, 2.4, Zhou Guanyu, Alexander Albon, Frank Colapinto, all expected to lose points. It just feels like Williams aren't going to make it through the weekend with two cars. Abu Dhabi is not traditionally a DNF track, but it could be like a mechanical failure. Really, really rough season or back end of the season for Williams. All those crashes that they've suffered in the first half and now the second half of the season are really coming back to bite them. The shine has kind of fallen off Franco Colapinto. Apparently, he's out of the running for the Red Bull seat or the V-Carb seat and the Alpine seat. So, yeah, just not great overall for that team there as they welcome Carlos Sainz into the car for the postseason test. Valtteri Bottas, kind of interesting, having a pretty strong finish to the year. I mean, he didn't get the points last year while Zhou Guanyu did. I did hear on F1 TV, though, that he has scored points in every single season that he's raced in F1. So he's got one final chance to do it. Maybe the team will give him everything they got as they send him out the door to a possible reserve driver role somewhere else along the paddock in 2025. Trying to think what else we've got going on here. Yeah, we can look at what my team is looking like. So this is what I was going to talk to you guys about here. Pretty interesting that, let me kind of zoom this out, look a little bit smaller on the screen, but F1 Fantasy Tools is suggesting that I do not go with Lando Norris this weekend. Charles Leclerc, Oscar Piastri, Nico Hülkenberg, Valtteri Bottas, and Franco Colapinto is the ideal lineup for my T1 team. I only got 2 free transfers. I really miss that flexibility of having a third free transfer this week. But with Charles Leclerc's 10 race grid penalty, it just feels like it's going to be one of those things where he moves up the field, pits, moves up the field again, and we could be looking at like a podium. And it's just like, driver of the day is a possibility for him. However, in Abu Dhabi, the driver of the day usually goes towards a sentimental pick, like a driver going out the door. 2021, it was Kimi Räikkönen. 2022, it was Sebastian Vettel. 2023 was Yuki Tsunoda because we had the exact same grid for the first time ever in F1 history, going from one year to the next. So there was no sentimental pick. But we've got Checo Perez on the chopping block. We've got K-Mag going out the door. We've got Valtteri Bottas going out the door. So a phenomenal drive is probably going to be placed lower in like the general fan vote for driver of the day. So I wouldn't really bank on like the best driver of the weekend getting a driver of the day vote, which doesn't always happen. But yeah, maybe a recovery drive from Leclerc, like say he qualifies like P5 and starts 15th and finishes 4th or 3rd. That could kind of change it because like people love Vettel, people love Kimi Räikkönen. I know there's like some sentimental stuff going on with K-Mag and Bottas. I'm not sure how big of a fan base they have. It could be a Checo Perez weekend. Big fan base from Mexico there. Jack Doohan also in there, like rookie driver. If he scored points, which isn't looking likely right now, could also be in there. So I guess what I'm trying to say is don't bank on these driver of the day points when you're making the decisions as of right now. K-Mag and Bottas probably the favorites because as we've seen in the past, like people like to go get emotional with their final pick for driver of the day in the final race of the season. But I wouldn't bank on it at all. I don't think that would really sway my decision making all that much. I think I'm going to keep Bottas in just because he is the cheapest asset in the game right now. And he does have the driver of the day upside, but I mean, if I had an unlimited budget, I wouldn't put him in my squad just for driver of the day points. Hülkenberg is interesting, though, 5.7 points. So that's going to make up the difference. F1 Fantasy Tools is saying that'll make up the difference between Leclerc and Norris, save myself some budget, and then I can get out of the Zhou Guanyu business. I think he kind of had his moment in the spotlight last weekend when he got driver of the day award, finished 8th, like all that stuff. Like, thank you, Zhou Guanyu. Go make a boatload of money being a reserve driver for Ferrari next season behind Lewis Hamilton and Charles Leclerc. Go learn a bunch, and maybe we'll see you in Cadillac in 2026. Who knows? But yeah, like this, as you can see here, this is the T1 squad. Leclerc, Piastri being the very popular choice. I got to go down quite a bit here to get to the Leclerc Norris here it is. Leclerc Norris, 5th team with Bottas, Zhou Guanyu, and Franco Colapinto. Moving over here to my T3 squad that has a little bit more in the bank here. I think 139 million. It's also suggesting the Leclerc Piastri build. I do have the wild card, so I should activate that chip here. This is something that you get when you pay for their Patreon, by the way. Fantastic resource. I would highly recommend. So let's see what changes here. So if I go Leclerc, Norris, my T1 team would be Leclerc, Norris, Hulkenberg, Gasly, Bottas. However, if I don't use the wildcard chip, see, this is fantastic. It's great stuff from F1 Fantasy Tools. I've been touting them all season. You guys should really go over there. So without the wildcard, Leclerc, Piastri, Magnussen, Gasly, and Bottas would be the squad. That's going to score. Can I scroll over here? 235.3 points according to F1 Fantasy Tools simulation. However, if I go activate the wildcard, Leclerc, Norris, Hulkenberg, Gasly, and Bottas there, 237.1. So just a little bit different there. In my preview video, I was kind of talking about maybe taking a punt with my T3 squad, doing something crazy. I'm going to wait until FP3 to kind of look at all this together and see what's going on. But yeah, as you can see, got the squad here. This is the T1 squad. So let's just kind of plug this in here. Charles Leclerc right there leaves me 2.5 million in the bank. And that will allow me to get up to Mr. Nico Hulkenberg, who has looked great this weekend. I feel like he's just had a little bit of tough luck each weekend. In Qatar qualifying, it was kind of like a team setup issue. And then they went on the hard tires, had absolutely no grip in there. So bye-bye Nico's race on Sunday as well. Brazil was also just kind of an insane race, disqualified because Marshall touched his car trying to get him back on track and stuff like that. So this lineup is kind of going to be a differential shout for me in F1 Fantasy this weekend in Abu Dhabi. Just no Lando Norris, who I would suspect is still the betting favorite to win the race if you are into that kind of thing. But yeah, Charles Leclerc with the 10 praise good penalty. I could see him going up and down the grid a couple of times, gaining a bunch of overtake points, and then eventually positions gain points. Would like to see how FP3 goes, see if Ferrari, Red Bull, Mercedes have taken a step, if they've turned their engines up at all, see if McLaren have also built on their strong Friday, see if Haas have kind of continued their pace overnight. Nico saying that the car's in a sweet spot. This gives me a little bit of coverage for drive of the day with Valtteri Bottas, hopefully Charles Leclerc. It also still gives me an option that maybe Oscar Piastri's papaya rules are out the window. I'm going to go make a mark, make an early kind of declaration that 2025, I'm coming for it. I'm not going to be second fiddle to Lando. So I like the balance of this squad here. This is at 130.7 million. So let me know in the comments below any lineup conundrums that you've got going on heading into the final deadline of the F1 fantasy season in 2024. Like I said, this is my final thoughts episode, so there's no live stream from me today. Go check out Rain Fantasy, the Fantasy Formula. Those guys have been crushing it all season. So if you want some at the last second deadline stuff, go check those guys out. And like I said, I've got the Abu Dhabi season finale race watch along tomorrow. That will be my final piece of in-season content. And then in the following week, I will have some season review stuff, season reward stuff, also touching on a little bit of an Abu Dhabi race review as well. And then we're going to go into the wind tunnel, check out what's going on, and make some tweaks for 2025. And like I said, don't forget the F1 Fantasy Community Survey. The Fantasy Formula and FanAmp have put this together. They're going to send it up the ladder to F1, and those guys are going to take a look at it, see what we can add and change in this beautiful game that we all love and sometimes hate. So hopefully it will make us hate it a little bit less in 2025. But this is where the squad is at, my T1 squad, heading into the final deadline of the season. The T3 squad is I might go crazy and take a little bit of a punt with that as well. That's top 700 in the world. So we'll see where I end up there. But I will be on X and Blue Sky and stuff, kind of tweeting my team out as the deadline approaches. I've got lunch from 1 to 2, so that's 1 hour before the deadline. So that'll be probably around 2 p.m. Germany time, 1 p.m. UK time is when I will kind of lock in my lineup and tweet out the final results. I'm not sure if we're going to get post FP3 sims from Reuter and F1 Fantasy Tools, but thank you to them for the early Christmas present of having the sims available for this final thoughts episode. Like I said at the top, like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel. There's still going to be some stuff coming out over the winter break. So just not all that jazz and stuff like that. So I won't be MIA for the entire winter break, but really appreciate the support. I said it in my preview episode. Thank you for all the views, the comments, the likes. It's been greatly appreciated this season. I can't believe how much the channel has grown in 1 year. But yeah, I will be back tomorrow with that season finale watch along. Come join me. Let's just chit chat about F1, F1 fantasy, all that, our hopes and dreams for the games in 2025. But once again, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching, and I will talk to you next time.